G'day viewers, how are you? Halfway through the week, it's hump day, Wednesday, where I like to make a video that I usually call Wangafat Wednesday. It's like, who am I not giving a fuck about today? And today, I'm not giving a fuck about serial failure Mark Latham joining racist hellhole Pauline Hanson's One Nation party. Now, a lot of people might expect me to care about this, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, I'm just saying it's garbage meets garbage. There is 0 point in getting worked up about this because this sort of festering garbage thrives on attention. That's all. Latham is so desperate for attention. So rather than bemoan the negatives, and there is a truckload of negatives, both about Hanson and her One Nation party and Latham himself, just an almost never-ending cavalcade of negatives, I prefer to focus on the entertainment value this is doubtless going to provide. Namely, Pauline Hanson is making the same mistake she has made multiple times over the last, say, 2 decades, and that is getting involved with severely deranged, unbalanced, egotistical, self-centered men who ultimately try to control her, won't go along with the way she wants anything done, and they have a falling out and a parting of ways. This has happened to Hanson again and again and again. Most recently, just, in the last year or so with Fraser Anning, but it simply keeps happening. She pairs up with these really unbalanced and egotistical men, and they split at a time that's convenient for the man, usually. And now she's pairing up with quite possibly the most deranged and egotistical man in Australian public life, Mark Latham. He's a former leader of the Labor Party, led them to an election against John Howard, which he lost in crushing fashion. And as much as I regard John Howard as one of the worst prime ministers, except for the other Liberals that came after him, it really seems like we dodged a bullet with Latham not winning that election. Even though he headed the party I would support in that election, he himself, there were a couple of real telltale signs even back then in that election campaign that things were not quite right with Latham. Kangaroos loose in the top paddock, as some people say, from his really maniacal handshake with John Howard at the start of the campaign, through to absolutely weird statements he made over the life of the campaign, and he failed miserably, and he continues to fail. He gets jobs in the media because they like controversy, and then he says something that's too extreme even for them. And as I said, like, people probably expecting me to get upset at him joining the racist demagogue Pauline Hanson, but it's far from the most reprehensible thing he's done. He does way worse on the regular. Probably the extremity of his utterly appalling behaviour is his continued attacks on Rosie Batty, who's a domestic violence campaigner who actually had to see her son beaten to death by her estranged husband. Like someone who's been through, well, that's right up there with about the worst things I think anyone could possibly imagine having to go through. And Latham makes non-stop personal attacks on her because he's so far into the absolute extremities of the whole men's rights bullshit. And his catchphrase he's decided he's going with going into this election, he's talking about civilizational values, which is barely concealed white supremacist code for white Christian men have to run everything. And a lot of people, they go, oh, you should debate those things. It's like, these fuckwits aren't in it for the debate. These fuckwits are in it for perverting our society. It's like saying, oh, you should debate fascists, even if they are openly Hitler-worshipping Nazis. You should debate them. That bullshit about debating fascists is almost invariably put forward by people who don't fear what would happen to them if fascists were in control. I mean, fuck, I don't fear what would happen to me if fascists were in control. I'm a white, middle-aged male. I'd be, you know, the chosen few. Just because I'm a radical loony lefty, they could probably live with the fact because I'm white, heterosexual, and male. But it's just the idea that you can treat something as a debate, as an academic exercise with an ideology that is literally about exterminating people regarded as lesser. First, they just want to play semantics. They want to have these white supremacist talking points and phrases validated and used just in general conversation. And then they move into actual policy, whether it be Fraser Anning wanting the White Australia policy back, or Latham with all his blathering about multiculturalism is evil. And yeah, when he says civilizational values, he doesn't mean people being decent, people doing the right thing, people looking after other people. He means straight white men running everything completely and marginalizing everyone else. And fuck that noise. On top of everything else, this sort of jargon is the behaviour of fucking cowards. And, you know, like I said, I'm just waiting for the inevitable fallout, because Latham can't get on with anyone. He's been hired by conservative media outlets and subsequently fired because he went too far for them. He tried to get on with one of the biggest fuckheads in Australia, David Leyonhjelm, who falsely calls himself a libertarian. He's just a bought and paid for extreme right-wing fucking wanker who's saying, no, I'm not a fascist, I'm a libertarian. Fuck you, it's so obvious who he's bought and paid for by. But anyway, even they couldn't stay buds. Latham split from them, and now he's with Pauline Hanson, someone who has a really long track record of getting involved, like I said, with these volatile, egotistical, deranged men and having a falling out really soon after. Now, Latham is going to run, as at the moment, he's going to run for One Nation in the New South Wales state election for a Senate seat, and that's supposed to be in March next year, which means he's got to survive 4 or 5 months of keeping his massive rampaging ego in check even before the election, which is going to be a major challenge for him. But here's the scam, and this bit does piss me off. If he wins a Senate seat under Pauline Hanson's One Nation, which the way the Senate elections work is really quite likely, Hanson has said he'll be the top of the ticket, which means there's a very high chance he will get into the Senate. And that means he's got a job at taxpayer expense for 8 years to just be a complete fucking prat. And he will try to abuse parliamentary privilege to its extreme once he's in there. And again, the bit that pisses me off is the way the stupid rules work. If once he's in the Senate under Pauline Hanson's name, literally 5 minutes after being sworn in, like Fraser Anning, he can go, I'm not with her anymore, I'm an independent. And keep the fucking job. How this works, that you get elected on one pretense and then immediately after election go, I'm not that anymore, when you never would have got elected without going under that particular banner, whether it's the major parties, Liberal or Labor, or fringe nutcases like Pauline Hanson. Is this absolutely fucking bizarre rule that after getting elected under their name, you can then go, I'm independent now. Fuck all your... And he would keep that for 8 fucking years. And that is real bullshit. But I just think, not even wanting to give these fuckwits the pleasure of being angry at them. I just want to mock them. Like, I think we should have a sweep. We should have, everyone should place bets. Like, in the comments, like, how long is he going to last? When will the falling out be? Because there's been not promising signs already. Because he was supposed to be with Hanson on a morning TV show, and he didn't show up, which led to this great visual of her next to an empty chair, which I think is super fucking symbolic of their relationship and where it's going. Afterwards, they said, oh, they made an accident and double booked him, which, even if that's true, it's like the choice was Latham is completely unreliable and actually not getting on that well with Hanson even at this early stage, or the organisation is mind-blowingly fucking incompetent. Those are the only two choices. Tells you all you need to know about that. But I also think maybe the real reason, Latham and chairs. He's had bad experiences. And it may have just been the thought of, oh no, I have to sit in a chair in public. Oh, that's worked out badly for me before. I don't think I want to do that again. So whether he's falling out of chairs or falling out of love with Pauline Hanson, I think we should take bets. You know, I think the duration of his stay is going to be somewhere between 1 week and 6 months, which will be just after the election. I honestly think if he lasts to the election, he will jump ship and declare himself independent within the first month. But yeah, I'm really interested in everyone's idea on this. How long will he last? Will it be a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months? Are you a romantic at heart that you think this is a match made in heaven with Latham and Hanson and he will stay for the whole 8 years? If so, I wish I had your positive outlook on life, because I really don't see that happening. But definitely in the comments, let me know how long you think this train wreck's going to go before it hits the wall. Because honestly, these two are both garbage and I don't give a fuck about them.